Hey, what's good with y'all? Rocking and rolling. Hey, what's good with y'all? I'm Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. I'm in the building. I'm a little late, but I'm here and we're going to rock it out. I got a lot of stories, some heavy stories. I got a story that somebody asked me to go over. We're going to talk about Elon Musk. We're going to talk about those ICE raids. We're going to talk about um, those files that Donald Trump is going to declassify, them Martin Luther King files. What is it, JFK? So it's a couple files they're going to make public, and yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about it. Shout out to everybody that's rocking with me. Today's Sunday. It is a rainy day right now in Southern California. It's been, I think it's a storm system, and so that's how it's going today. It ain't one of those times when I'm like, it's man, it is beautiful today. It's not that today, but I guess it's much needed rain because the fires, right? It's always a new fire that's popping up that's starting every time it gets windy and it's cold. I mean, it's chilly, so I don't really understand it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Maybe I should, do some research on it and find out how is it that every time it gets windy and it's cold, uh, that is a combination for a fire. Yeah, it's hard to wrap my head around that one. Maybe somebody can help me out. Maybe somebody can bring me up to speed, because we can always be ignorant of some things. Shout out to Kyle Maz Boff. Shout out to Sister Barathana, Renee Gaines, Black Rain 303, my main man, Bulls fan 25. Shout out to all of y'all. Yeah, Bulls fan definitely can use some rain. Definitely. I would suspect, or I would think that any um any fire, because I know there was a fire going on like just yesterday. I think I heard the news. I can't remember where the fire is at. It's out here, but um you would think, you would hope that the rain would put that out, right? Or at least make the firefighter's job easier. Because I just seen a plane yesterday when I was on my way to work. I seen one of those firefighting planes. They have these big ones. They're like KC 135. They're like really big airliners, airplanes, and yeah, they have a lot of little ones, but they got one big one, and I seen it in the air yesterday. And let me see, weather warfare, right? That gamer honesty oh 06. Shout out to you up in the building. You say, yeah, like yeah, that was weird. Yeah, that whole Hawaii thing was weird. And they had a conspiracies. The locals say what happened. It didn't seem right. When I was out there in Pasadena, like I said, I got some drone footage. I got some pictures and everything. And as I'm looking at the pictures, it looks like literally like the fire, it burned down one house, then the next house is not burnt, and then so on and so forth. And it's like the fire was hopping, but it also was very windy. So I can understand how the fire could, hop over to other homes. It didn't look, like a natural fire trail, but the embers from the trees with those 80 force winds, I mean, I could understand, right? But yeah, man, we're gonna get into it. I want to talk a little bit about Elon Musk. I'm gonna bring out a scripture on this one because I think it definitely pertains to what the message is in this. And so let me get this article, read a little bit off from an article with Elon Musk speaking at a far right party in Germany. Now, for Black people, far right basically is like Republican, but they're far right, like they're extreme, close to like white nationalists. Like, I want a, white pride. I want a white only country. All of these people need to get out. Well, they have that. They have it here in America, but they also have it in Germany. So he spoke at a conference via video chat. And let me bring the let me get this article real quick, because there's a point I want to make about this. Like, you probably would ask, like, what does Elon Musk, why does that matter to what Black Authentic Truth stands for, what I stand for, to Black people in general? And I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that point. All right, y'all, just give me a second. Let me get this. I got the video queued up. I just gotta get this background together, and I'm gonna share the screen. Let's see, Elon Musk. I'll just read it a little bit. Here's the title. Elon Musk's call for Germany to move beyond Nazi guilt is dangerous, Holocaust Memorial chairman says. Now, it says that the chairman of Israel's official Holocaust Memorial has accused Elon Musk of insulting the victims of Nazism and endangering Germany's democratic future after the billionaire addressed a rally for Germany's far-right party on Saturday. Musk, the world's richest man, made a surprise virtual appearance at a campaign event for Germany's far-right alternative Für Deutschland party on Saturday, doubling down on his support for the group he said can save Germany ahead of snap elections in February. In an apparent reference to Germany's Nazi history, the head of Trump's administration Department of Government Efficiency, whose smiling face was projected on a big screen, a vast screen, told a roaring crowd that children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, let alone their great-grandparents. There is too much focus on past guilt. We need to move beyond that, he added at the rally in Eastern Germany, in the Eastern Germany city of Halle. Now, let me get this. Let me play this video. Let me drop this. Excuse me.
Okay to be proud to be German. This is a very important principle. And it's okay, it's good to be proud of German culture, German values, and not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. You know, I think we want to have unique cultures in the world. We want to have and make sure that it seeks.
Let me find where it's exactly right about here.
Frankly, too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that. Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great-grandparents, maybe even. And we should be optimistic and excited about a future for Germany. And that's really my message, is be optimistic, excited, and...
So that's basically what he said. Now, this is something we as Black people, as brown people, we always hear this, especially people like me, Hebrew Israelites, people that talk about not just the present, but also the history. Critical race theory, as you know it, is something that is being pushed right now. And this falls into that category where they talk about, you know, we should move on and forget the past. We should not talk about the past. We should, we shouldn't, as, white Americans, feel guilty or feel bad for what our ancestors did. And what people tend to forget is this. This is something that people tend to forget. When you look at the population in America, let's just use Black and white, and you can use anybody, but we're talking about Black and white. When you look at the systems in America, the institutions, and you look at where white people are, where their stance is, economically, and then you look at black people where they are and their stance is economically. This is not just because the people who are trying their hardest and pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, that this is not just because they got there, or they got there because of good business practices. A lot of what you see with people where they're at today is because of the past. Where America is today is because of the past. When you look at a person that's homeless and you just make a judgment on them being homeless because that's all you see, that's an unfair assessment. You gotta learn about how did they get there? What was the past? What was the past? What happened in their past? What choices did they make in the past? What tragedy did they go through in the past? What trauma did they go through in the past? It comes all together. You know what I'm saying? Like it only makes sense to look at certain things and how they have never changed. And you can see why they never changed because you can look back in the past and see that it was happening then. Now, here's the thing. These people do not want to take accountability for anything. They talk about black people not want to take accountability. I mean, man, they do not want to take accountability. They don't feel any shame. They don't feel any remorse. And this is a biblical concept when it comes to these people. So let me grab that real quick. And I'm gonna get y'all comments too. I ain't forgot. I have not forgot. Let me get this real quick. Now I'm gonna read this priest. This is the book of Zechariah 11:5. It says, whose possessors slay them, meaning they murder them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. This is fundamentally how these people move, right? This is fundamentally how they move. This is how they move. This is how they think. They done all the dirt in the world. And now they say, you know what? We are not guilty of that. In fact, you Germans, although your ancestors were the Nazis, and we know what they did, you shouldn't feel bad about that. Now think about this. This is a white man, Elon Musk, talking to white people. If they feel that way towards the injustices they done to themselves, how do you think they feel about us when black people talk about it? They hate when we talk about it. They disdain when we talk about it. You know what I mean? They can't stand when we bring up slavery. It is like a physical pain that they go through if black people even speak about slavery, any injustice, Black Wall Street, Rosewood. The list goes on where, all of these massacres. I mean, massacres is probably up to like 100, 200 massacres in America after black people were freed from chains and were able to freely live. Over 3,500 lynchings on record. That's just on record, as though they're going to keep good records about what happened, what they did to us. But I'm just saying, anytime you bring up this stuff, it's a pain for them to feel. And Elon Musk is a reflection of that. In fact, Elon Musk is great. Elon Musk's grandfather, he was a racist. He believed that black people had not developed anything and that they didn't offer anything to society until white people came along. You can go look that up yourself. Elon Musk's grandfather was a racist. So, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Now, if he feels that way and he's telling these people in Germany to not feel bad about the Holocaust and all that, allegedly, but everybody feels that that's what he could only be talking about, that history. How do you think they feel when we speak on the atrocities and the crimes committed against our people? They despise it. They despise you even talking about it. That's the reason why you have critical race theory. Now I'm gonna go to the comments, all right? Because my hair, it's matted. You know what? Edge control works real good. You get a edge control works real good with a wave cap. But let me get to this. Let me get to y'all comments. It said, because I haven't been looking at them since I started this particular story. Yeah, Black Rain said it goes with that salute. What his stance goes with that salute that he made, the salute that he made the other day. Let me put my hand down for they be like, oh, look, see, the Thawahgabar did it. But that salute that he did, they're when he did that speech, they were protesting in Germany, outside the Germany Tesla factory. They were saying, hail Tesla, like hail Hitler. They were saying hail Tesla. They were protesting against Tesla. The brother said Elon is an alien. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. He basically said, like what I read. I basically read it in the article, and he said that in the video in that feed. Elon Musk is supposed to be. He's supposed to be smart, right? He's supposed to be smart. But anyway, I'm gonna move on to the next story. Now, this story is a story that a sister hit me up, and I can't remember the video that she put in the comments. It could have been the video about the fireman leaving people in the firehouse in the home, in a burning home, ignoring Black people. But a sister has said, could I speak about this particular case? So that's what I'm gonna get to. Okay. Now, this is a story, or this is the case many of y'all know about Naziah Harris. And we're gonna go into it. All right. Now, this sister, I'm sure many of y'all have seen this. It's quite a sad story. And it bothered me. I ain't gonna lie. I got 3 daughters. It bothered me to, actually learn more about it because it was not on my radar. And I talk about Black women, girls, boys coming up missing all the time. And so it'd be so many stories. Sometimes things just go over your head, or you don't catch wind to them, or they're not publicized like that. And maybe you're so focused on something that you don't notice it. But anyway, we're going to talk about it. So this sister, she was 13 years old. She had came up missing about a year ago. And the first suspect was the man that basically was the boyfriend to her auntie. His name is Jarvis Butts, I believe. And I got a story. I have the I'm sorry, I have the article. So I'm gonna read a little bit of the article. Okay. It says that now this article is from the CBS News. It says Detroit man, this happened in Detroit. Detroit man charged over missing 13-year-old Naziah Harris appeared in court. So he entered a not guilty plea. It says Jarvis Butts, age 42, he is charged with first-degree murder, second degree criminal sexual conduct, and child sexual abusive activity. Butts is accused of having an inappropriate relationship with Naziah, who was last seen y'all gotta give me a second. Ooh. Oh, shit. God damn. I know that was gonna happen. Whew. This one is rough, y'all. I don't know why it hit me like that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let me get back on track. It just hit me. You know what I'm saying? This I can't explain it. I cannot explain it. But like I said, I got 3 daughters. So y'all let me get my composure. Let me gain my composure back. This is crazy. So let me see if I got some glasses real quick. Y'all give me 1 second. I thought I had brought my glasses. I didn't bring my glasses, but I'm not going to read anymore. You guys go and look up this case on your own. I'm gonna make some points. I'm gonna talk about it, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this monster was having a relationship with this young sister, and it came out in court that they were talking about sexual activity. Um, they were he was playing mind games with her, like, because he was in the house that she was living in. She was living with, I believe, her auntie, who is his woman that he was with off and on, and the grandmother lived in there. So my question is, where is her father? Where is her mother? I don't know all of the particulars of it, but just looking at this girl, a 13-year-old, it does something to me, as it should do to everybody. It should make everybody feel some type of way. You know what I mean? It should make brothers and sisters feel like we need to pay attention to our kids. You know what I'm saying? We need to pay attention to our kids. You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna play a video with the judge. Shout out to the judge, because the judge, she said what needed to be said. She charged the auntie and the grandmother. What I left out is this sister. In a text message, it was found that this little girl was reaching out to him for pads. She was on her period. She was, and so the judge is like, why is she reaching out to this man for that? And she's living in a house with 2 grown women that have had children. And nobody is noticing nothing about this girl. You know what I mean? Nobody's noticing this suspicious relationship, or why he's always looking for her when he comes in the house, and nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Let me get to it. Let me play the video, all right?
highlighted in case, this is a quote, in this case there was no physical evidence such as bloodstains or a weapon leaking defendant to Joyce's death. To establish also that Naziah was not a runaway child, that she was not a bad kid. I do believe she adopted Naziah. I do believe that she had 6 kids in the house. I believe that Naziah had on a dark hoodie the day she went missing, and that she had on red and black Nikes that day.
Excuse me. Now, when the police caught up with Jarvis, he had in his possession some of Naziah's clothes, one of it being a black hoodie that was almost basically new, according to her grandmother. And this hoodie looked like it had holes in it, like there had been a struggle. Also, someone walking around, a lady, she had been walking, passing up the little girl's ID from her school. The ID was face down, and the sister said that she had walked over it probably for like 2 weeks, till one day she decided to pick it up, and it happened to be Naziah's ID. There's a lot of stuff in here I'm probably leaving out, but that's the gist of, you know, the basis of what was going on and what happened and how they came to start, you know, realizing that he was the main suspect because of those phone records and because of that hoodie. I'm gonna keep playing it.
What is hard to believe is that the defendant never came into the house as she testified. And there was also a minor that testified.
So you can go look at this on your own. I'm gonna skip to the end, right? I'm gonna skip to the end of this video. It's about an 11-minute video. She speaks about the women in the house wondering where Naziah was. She didn't come home. Instead of calling the police, they went to sleep and waited till the next day to say anything. They didn't even, you know, look at it like it was out of the ordinary that she didn't come home, a 13-year-old. They went to sleep without calling the police. Also, she charged the grandmother and auntie for not noticing nothing when they have children also. All right. So let me skip up. It says, Bulls fan said, before I go forward, let me see. But it's things like this that may not date after getting divorced. I assume any dude that wanted to date me had ill intentions toward my daughter. Yeah, we avoided like. That's good. That's good, Bulls fan. And let me just add to that. Women be so desperate to have a man. And listen, I don't even know this story. I don't know if he's a boyfriend that just, I know he has children too. And there's charges on him with 2 other children. Okay. So I don't know if all the children are his or not, but I know he had some children living in that house. But getting back to what I was saying is that women be so desperate to have a man that they'll bring some man around their child, around their daughter. And without getting to know a person or anything like that, without understanding how a person really is and nothing like that, you don't know who this person is. You bring it around your child. And on top of it, women be so desperate to have a man, if their child do say something, they attack their daughter. They attack the child as though the child is being too fast and she's the problem and she's trying to take her man. So I just wanted to add that to what you said. That's how what you said is how women should think. Instead of thinking about yourself and that you need a man and you need somebody to lay down with you next to you in your bed, you need to be thinking about your child first and bringing some random man around your child. Let me skip up. It's raining. It's raining hard out here too. I can hear it.
You've been sitting over there for 4 days with your head down, sitting between and behind your attorney with your mask on and taking vigorous notes. I want you to pay attention and listen to everything I have to say. I have been trying to figure out for the last 5 days, you. At one point, I thought you were cognitively impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old, and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you're just the true definition of a pedophile.
The judge said, I've been trying to figure you out this whole time, just looking at you. And she said, you know what? I was wondering if you had, the brain capacity of a 10-year-old. But now I'm just realizing that you're really just a pedophile. You have all of the traits of a pedophile. Keep going.
Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them and having them in your presence, cleaning up your shop. And the little girls around you has landed you here today. You groomed Desire.
Great.
You played mind games with her. We all heard that. You controlled her emotionally. She was exposed to so much at such a young age. The text messages between you two were disgusting to hear. And to think that she had you saved in her phone as babe for life. Desire deserves so much more. And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you are the monster in this whole picture.
The judge, shout out to that judge, because she said exactly what needed to be said. That he was a predator, that he is a monster. Like, what we really don't understand is that, we have people that are amongst us in our communities, in our families, that are monsters, that have monstrous tendencies to do such a thing. It also goes in to say that she was pregnant and that this monster knew she was pregnant. And it's alleged that he tried to, on that day that she came up missing, do a makeshift home abortion. And when he messed up, he just took her life. They have never found her body. They have enough evidence, but they never found her body. You know what I'm saying? And I know I talk about, all of the sisters that are missing, and with the sheer number of little girls that are missing, no one never finds them. But because of the number, how many of it is, that it's a bigger thing going on. It's not the same as this. And on the other hand, we have stuff like this in the Black community. We have monsters and we have evil and wickedness like this in the Black community. And some of these people are your goddamn family. Some of these people are your cousins, your brothers, and your uncles that you are willing to protect and look away just because they're your family. The hell with that, man. The hell with that. The hell with that. And if this was, I just wonder, I don't know the whole story. I have to say that I don't know the whole story. I was like, where's her parents at? Where's her mother? Where's her father? This is Detroit. So most likely they are destroyed. Most likely they are in prison. Most likely they're on drugs. The whole reason why she is even living with an auntie and her grandmother. I just have to make that assumption because of that. But I'm like, as a father, man, let's just say that would be the last time y'all would see me, because I'll be willing to sit in jail for the rest of my life over mine. You know what I'm saying? This is a very sad story, and Black people need to pay attention to your damn kids. Pay attention to your kids. Be nosy. If you're the one that's paying the cell phone bill, look in that damn phone. Not even if you is the one paying it, because I don't need to say that, because ain't no kid under your roof gonna be having a phone or or anything with some services you got to pay for and you ain't paying it. But the point is to be all up in a business, be all up in that phone, be all up in that tablet. You don't know who your kid's talking to. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. I don't understand why we don't get that. That could have all been prevented. What happened to Naziah Harris could have all been prevented had those women in that house paid attention to the signs. Just paid a little attention, even if you got 5 kids or 6 kids. You can pay attention to the ones that seem a little, quiet, that seem like they, are doing something that's not like them. Have rules. They didn't even have no rules because they didn't call the police when the little girl didn't even come in at night. This is part of a bigger problem in the Black community. It's part of the dysfunction that we have within our families that nobody wants to point out. It's okay for us to be dysfunctional. It's okay for us to have problems and go through shit. It's okay for it. But when you start acting like it ain't a problem, that's the problem. When you start acting like it's normal, that's the problem. That's the effing problem. You act like this thing is normal and this is supposed to be life. It's not supposed to be life. We are righteous people. It's not hard for us to bring our level up. Hell, if we're able to forgive the white man for everything he done and say you love them, why can't you look at the things that's wrong with us and fix it? I don't want to go too crazy, y'all. I did not even expect to react like that when I read this, went over this story. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I didn't expect to for it to hit me how it hit me. I feel like that all the time. I read a slave narrative and I feel like that. I feel the same pain that my ancestors felt. I feel when I see something happen to somebody, I say to myself, the way I look at things a lot of times is I put myself in that position. And that's why I can feel. That's why, I have feeling. You know what I mean? I can feel for my people, even if I may think like, that'll never be me. I'll never make that bad choice, or I'll never be in that predicament. That doesn't take away the fact that I feel compassion for my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm off of it. I don't want to go too long on this story, but I want to talk about it because a sister, shout out to that sister, whoever you are. If you ever see this video, you put it in there. That's what you wanted, and that's what I gave you. You know what I'm saying? I went over it, and I did the video. Also, like, brothers and sisters, if there's a story that you want me to go over, you want me to specifically talk about, you can put it in the comments. You can DM me at Thawahgabar on Facebook, or you can Thawahgabar@gmail.com. You can send me a message or just send me a link for me to go over a certain thing. Many of y'all have done that. Kyle Maj sends me most of my videos that I go over nowadays because I started putting it out there that send me something. You see something because, I can't see everything. And, the way the algorithm works, you might be seeing stuff that I don't never see. All right. So let me get, I'm not going to even go into it. I want to talk about that, but you know what? I didn't prepare for it. We're just going to talk about it. Donald Trump has made an executive order where he's going to declassify the files on MLK and JFK. And these are files that people have been waiting for. They have been waiting for JFK because of the conspiracy surrounding the assassination of JFK. And people feel like it was an inside job. And also with MLK, there's a lot of things that already have come out about MLK that would be damaging to the legacy of MLK and are damaging. And so I'm just waiting to be able to see that information and read that information. But it will be no surprise. Some of the things that have already come out have been about Martin Luther King having uh, crazy parties, getting money from the government, and with that money, having crazy parties, orgies with white women in those orgies. Um, and it's damaging because of the image that America, not just Black people, but America has as of MLK, excuse me. So it's very damaging, you know. And what I have to say to that is, when it comes to your Black leaders, you should not expect anything. Oh, let me see what Black Rain said before I make this point. Black Rain said they declassify with the important parts blacked out. Yeah, that's what they do. You know, the important parts, you know, like the names, the places, and what really happened, they'll black it out. I believe that's how we found out that uh, crack cocaine was put into the Black community, because of declassified documents by the government, the CIA. You know, so believe it or not, they do release information that, you know, over time, because they feel like as time has passed, no one is going to care anymore. A lot of the players are now deceased, you know, so people don't feel the same anymore about it. Now, if they was to release it when it happened, then it would be an uproar. So they play it really good as far as waiting 20, 30, 40 years, 50, 60 years to release documents on something. But when the thing about with Martin Luther King is that, you can go research this, is that he was in some communist schools. This is very well known. And so the government, because of his popularity, the government was wiretapping Martin Luther King, following him, not because they thought he was like somebody that's trying to take over America, or he was militant or nothing like that, because, you know, he stood for nonviolence. They was just trying to make sure he wasn't in cahoots with their enemies, with Russians or anybody like that. And so while they're doing that, they're gathering all this information of what he's doing behind the scenes, that people that look at him as a Christian reverend would be appalled by. And so you have to understand, the government has used the image of Martin Luther King to keep Black people docile and to keep Black people thinking one way. In fact, anytime that we speak the truth on the streets, a lot of times what you have is, I've had this, and I'm sure other people have experienced this. You have white people that come to me and say, you should be more like Martin Luther King, because Martin Luther King is the example. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, being nonviolent, you know, getting along, not going against the grain, just trying to, you know, get along with white folks. Not saying that I don't want to, not saying that I don't, that's not what I, you know, care for, is to not get along. But the point is that he has been the template for Black America on how you should conduct yourself. They didn't use Malcolm X as the template, although Malcolm X was way rawer, way realer, and more radical. They didn't use Malcolm X, but Black people love Malcolm X. So you should ask your question, why they don't talk about Malcolm X on Black History Month. I forgot that too. They want to take Black History Month away. I'll get to that. But here's the thing when it comes to Black leaders. When this stuff comes out, what you have to understand about many Black leaders is that they are following the template and doing the same things as white leaders, white politicians. You know, so you really shouldn't be surprised. Like, when stories come out about Black entertainers, P. Diddy is a good example. He's the most recent, but there are going to be more, I promise you. When stories like that come out about Black people, what you have to know is that white people are doing it too in the entertainment industry. You got to know that. This is not like, Black people are not the big bag boogeyman that just started doing these things. These things have been going on in these industries. And the same thing is with that. When you look at the scandals out of the Christian church, you see the things that pastors are doing, sleeping with men's wives, molestation. These things have been going on and the mother of all churches, the Roman Catholic Church. They've been going on. So anytime you see Black people propped up in a way where, you know, they're focusing on these Black people and they're making them a star, they're making them big, just know that if something comes out, it's only because they're doing what has already been done by white people. So when that stuff comes out, when all the information comes out about MLK, just know that this is how all of them get down. When you hear a story about a Republican having some crazy orgies or something like that, just know that Democrats are doing it too, behind the scenes. This is a world that you don't see as a regular person. All right. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Black Rain said they got Diddy, but Weinstein, he walked free. Exactly. They do it too. They are doing it too. They just publicize Black people doing it so much that you start to focus on Black people like we the big boogeyman, we the problem. Like they focus on black crime. Black on black crime. Oh, somebody got shot over the weekend in Chicago, and this happened and over here, and this happened over there. Or the story I just went over with this sister, which is a sad story, very sad story, hurtful, with Naziah. You don't think this happens in the white community? It does. Far more. It does far more. You don't think people, unalive people with handguns in the white community? It does. Way more. But it's not put center screen in the media and on every news story like they do when it comes to us. It's a big deal. It's the biggest problem in America. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And, the MLK files, they're going to be declassified. And, what people have to understand about this is he was a man like you and me. And they were all doing that at that time. Not just Black people, but white people too. So let me get to this next story. Shout out to everybody that's been rocking with me. All right. I didn't even share it this time, but it seems like it's one of them times when I shared it. And I got a few people in here. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to y'all. So I got a Black Authentic True story that is, unfortunately, it's not a good story, but it is a story that you probably never heard before. I was looking for a good story, but I couldn't find, I should say all the stories are good. Just something that is more on the positive side. I could not find one that I was satisfied with. And this story I have had on the shelf for a minute. And so we'll at the end, I'll get to that, to the Black Authentic Truth story. So let me get this video about church. We were just talking about what happens in a church. Which is crazy work.
Notices. And as ABC Action News reporter Cameron Polam tells us, they're venting.
Let me start it over.
Some members of a Tampa church are telling us they are fed up because their church is sending them collection notices. And as ABC Action News reporter Cameron Polam tells us, they're venting that anger in a very public way on the church's Facebook page.
People was very friendly there, and I really enjoyed being there.
Candace Peterson says finding the Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church was a blessing.
Bruh. The Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church, bruh. The name is crazy work. Like that's one of those names where when people make fun of like a church. That's crazy. Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church. Whew. I mean, who thought of that?
The single mother had been looking for a church closer to her new home, and 6 months in, things were going perfect. That is until this letter arrived at her home late last week.
To be a member in good standing and have the right to vote, adults are to contribute the minimum amount of $50 per month.
It was from the church saying she was delinquent in her financial support.
$50 per month. Now this shocked me because I haven't heard about the $50 per month. So where did you get this from? Then Mount Moriah Day is on there, $150.
The letter also says Peterson would be responsible for a church anniversary fee of $250, a total of $1,000 in required donations per year. Peterson says she was told the fees help pay off church debt.
What church charged you to, help pay off what they're going through? I'm not there for that.
And many seem to be agreeing with Peterson, taking to.
Man, that is crazy work. Let me look at this comment. Let me see. That is crazy work, Black Rain. Crazy. They got this sister. They sending her a collection paper. They want you to pay $50 a month, $150 from Mount Moriah Day, $250 for the church, the pastor's anniversary. Then you have to spend at least $1,000 in offerings and donations throughout the year. And we're talking about a single mother just been there for 6 months. That's crazy. And that's why people are leaving the church. That's why people are getting out the church. Stuff like this. You gonna charge the sister all that bread. Like, church is supposed to be somewhere where you could just go, right? It's supposed to be a place where you could just, I didn't know you had to pay money to serve the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Even though church don't got it right. But just think about it on a common sense level. Why does it cost you money to try to, to want to serve the Lord? Like, I understand, when it comes to tithes, but when it comes to $50 of a fee of $50 a month, like you got it, like it's a subscription. Like, you go to my churches, you got to subscribe to, you got to pay this much. This is the fee. And when you don't pay, you get a notice in the mail. Like, that's crazy work. That's crazy. Like, even inside, when you talk about even inside the scriptures, like, they would come together and everybody would put their resources together to help everybody that was in need. You would think that's what should be happening. They're draining people that are barely getting by. This sister is a single mother just trying to get by. You know what I mean? And I don't know, y'all. It's just crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Meanwhile, the pastor is driving the nicest whip. Meanwhile, you gotta catch public transportation to get to the place. Meanwhile, if something happens to a loved one, God forbid something happened, they ain't trying to help you with no funeral expenses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that Black people still put their trust in that, and to think that it ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, to think it's not nothing wrong with some type with prosperity gospel. Like, it's definitely something wrong with that when you have a church that's trying to suck the people, the parishioners, dry, out there trying to rip their pockets off. And all of these people are struggling, just trying to make ends meet. And when you look in that community surrounding that church, the community, the people are drug addicted, the people are selling drugs, the people are hurting one another and hating one another. And in the church, them are some of the most, them big hat women in them churches. Those are some of the most evil women you will ever meet. And I'm not saying like everyone, but I'm just saying the pridefulness and the evilness of those women in the church could be very cruel. I'm sure some of y'all have experienced it. But this is crazy for a church to make people pay a monthly fee in order to go to the church to pay off its debt. That tells you that the church has been mismanaging the funds for years. If they now have a program for people to pay off their debt, that lets you know that the money they have been getting over all, the hundreds of thousands of dollars they've been getting over all of those years, they have been mismanaging it. And most likely that money has been mismanaged into the pastor's pockets. He said, Richard Pryor said, deep down in your pockets, deeper. Now come up. For real. Like they done ripped a hole in your purse, ripped a hole in your pockets. Let me see. Okay, so let me go to this next video. This video is something, this is from the fires, all right? In this particular video, it's something that I thought that everybody needs to recognize, especially Black people, because we're very, we can hold grudges very tightly, okay? Give me 1 second. The word he said, it's a lot of 304 activity going on in them churches with the big head women and them, man, for real. You said it, bro, for real. And I'll be the first one to admit that I have met 304s when I was in the world and I went to the church. I have met them just like that in the church. It's a lot of that activity going on. I've seen a lot of activity now that I'm mature and I'm in the truth and I know what is right and what is wrong. Looking back, I've seen a lot of stuff in those churches that was horrible. That was no different than what people that don't go to church do. Like literally.
And she's got some evacuees. Gina.
Yes, that's right. I'm here with Zaire and Philip. They both lost their homes. I'm so terribly sorry for your loss. Please describe what it was like when you were there and how long you stayed there.
Yes. It was horrific. Like being there, it felt like you were in a scene of a volcano movie. You saw embers flying everywhere. Wind gushing at 90 miles per hour, going left and right. Just trying to get your bearings. He comes by, Philip comes by, flashing a flashlight, telling me, oh, we gotta go, we need to get out of here. And then I had to race to get my wife and the baby to get her, and I'm like, we have to go next door, get our grandmother, my mother, and go next door, get her out. We're racing to the car, stuff going everywhere. It was the most chaotic scene that you could possibly live in. It was like a horror movie. You just couldn't reenact what's going on. It was like fire bombs everywhere, and it was just exploding and burning.
So you packed up the family and you left, and then what happened after that?
So packed up the family, left. When we were leaving, I noticed that my sister's car was still in front of the house. Everybody was getting alerts to leave and get out. So the next day, come back. Her car is still sitting there, so I had to go back to figure out if you know, she was still there, basically. So my cousin, brave as he is, said, you know, I'll go and see what's going on. And he took a shovel, climbed over the debris, and started moving stuff around. And From there, he saw like a hip bone, and just that's when he knew that she was there. So
I'm so terribly sorry for your loss.
yeah. I just want to say rest in peace to Evelyn and Clendon. I love you. I know we didn't always get along, and this is not even those happy oldies. This is the greatest sister in the world. It wasn't, you were loved, you were cared about, and I'm just sorry that she's no longer with us.
Do you know if she stayed behind or what happened?
I don't know if it was just she thought she had time. I know the way the alerts were coming in, the emergency alerts. I don't know if she thought, I mean, we're from the community, so we've been in Altadena and Pasadena forever. So she may have thought, you know, just like we all thought our houses and stuff were still going to be there. And when we left, we thought it was still going to be there. So it was like, you're not really packing up. You're literally just grabbing a few things just so you can come back.
So the main part that I want to talk about with that is that when asked about her and you know what he said, it seemed like the brother, like maybe they didn't have the best relationship, and he just said, "I want to let you know that you was loved." And so you can tell that the brother is holding back. You know, he wants to really just let it all out. You know what I mean? You know, it's painful. And why I'm bringing this out is because you just never know. You never know when something could strike and you can lose a loved one. I said it earlier before I started the video, is that we as Black people, we hold on to grudges. We hold on to that so tightly. In many families, you have people that are brother and sister, mother and daughter, father and daughter, whatever the case may be, that don't speak, that haven't spoken in years. And they live not too far from one another. It seems that this brother and his family, they all lived around the same street, you know? And so we need to understand that you just don't know. So you gotta take it upon yourself to mend, you know, broken relationships with your family. Like, I understand if you ain't never always been that way, but at least be able to be, you know, get along enough to have a conversation, to have communication is the point. To stay in the loop, with your siblings, stay in the loop with, you know, with your loved ones, stay in the loop with your son, your daughter, stay in the loop, just, you know what's going on and have some type of, you know, communication so that you don't be in a situation where you feeling guilty and you feeling bad, where you knew you had opportunities to make things right. You knew you had opportunities to let things go. Many times we don't do that in our community. We don't do it at all. We just hold on to grudges, and we just have this thing about us that we are not willing, and we don't care to check on our people. You know, we don't care to check on our people. That's unfortunate. So let me now I'm gonna go to the next one, right? Black Rain said, before I go, let me see. Said, so true. Another brother told me that a year ago, and a few days later, my neighbor passed, and I contacted my brother. Black Dazzle said, that's right. Word, he said, wow, Lord in Christ. So true. It's so true. Like, you got to, like, here's my thing. Here's what my suggestion is to you. If you're a person that you have siblings, you have, you know, your parents still alive, put all of y'all in some type of, in a group chat. Put everybody in a group chat, and, you know, every morning, you don't have to be every morning, but now and then just say, hey, how you doing? Good morning. How everything's going? You know, post some pictures just to keep that type of communication. You know, people before us growing up, they didn't have that. All they had was a telephone and a landline. You know what I mean? But now you have cell phones, you can kind of stay in a loop a little bit. You can post pictures, you can show what you're doing, or just say, hey, everybody, you know what I mean? How everybody doing? Love y'all. You know what I'm saying? You can do something like that. And you know, that's enough. Just stay in the loop and just let people know, like, and it might even fix a relationship where people know, like, oh, they don't feel like how I feel, or they don't see our relationship how I was looking at it, and I wasn't gonna speak. But I'm gonna speak now because I know that, you know, things are good. Do that, you know, do that. Black Rain said, his story is very prophetic right now. Man, that's crazy. That's a good one, Black Rain. For real, like just make a group chat with your family. A lot of y'all black people be harping around about how you grew up and your daddy wasn't there and your mama was there and y'all don't get along, you don't talk to them a lot. And a lot of that stuff be right in your head. You don't even attempt to try to talk. You don't even attempt to try to function or attempt to like have the type of mindset where you're going to forgive some things and let some things slide. Man, we jacked up. We are not perfect people like on the television screen. So you're going to have to let some shit slide in order to love your family and love people. You're going to, or you're going to be upset all the time. You're going to be holding a grudge all the time. You're going to be feeling like, oh, my dad ain't changed since when I was a teenager. My mom ain't changed. You're going to feel like that. Just try to meet your family and meet people where they at, and just accept that at least you got a connection where y'all can talk and communication. It's not pearly white like on TV, but at least it's something. She said, if I group chat my siblings, they're going to think my phone is stolen. That's funny. Yeah, man, you gotta, like, that's the problem, man. Like, we always think our lives is like supposed to be like what we've seen on TV or like a celebrity's life, like when you know their lives is messed up. But I'm just saying, like this perfect crystal diamond gold lifestyle and family relationship and you know picket fence and all that. Like it's okay that you jacked up. Most of us come, like, listen, we are people that come from the ground up anyway. You know, we come from a lot of trauma. We come from a lot of dysfunction, but we can still find a common ground. We can still find common ground, and we can still get up. You know, we can still. How I'm trying to say this. We can still maneuver around all of that crap, and not make an excuse at all, just to love our relatives, love our family, love our people, and just be in contact. You don't have to be buddy, lovey, huggy all the time. It could just be simple communication, letting people know you love them. And sometimes you might have family members where you have a tight relationship with, tighter than anyone. That's cool too. But I'm saying in general, I'm saying like just on a basic level of communication. And somebody got to grow up. Somebody got to let things go. Why not it be you? Okay, so I'm gonna drop that. Let's get talk about the brother, the Chicago mayor. Okay, he said some stuff right now. I just seen this video like 2 days ago. Let me switch it up. $30,000. We started from the top.
Now, what I do find interesting is that when 30,000 Ukrainians sought asylum here in the city of Chicago, nobody said a mumbling word. But all of a sudden, indigenous people who are trying to get to a
low key, I feel like he wanted to say a mother effing, like right here when he said mumbling word. I think he wanted to say, ain't nobody said a mother effing word.
Nobody said a mumbling word, but all of a sudden, indigenous people who are trying to get to a land that was robbed from them through colonization, they want me as a black man to be mad at them? You got to be out of your freaking mind.
I mean, this is the black man with some power. This is a black man that, you know what I'm saying? He thinks like how I think. And I'm not even a political person, but I have to like kind of follow it in order to understand what's going on, because I wasn't raised that way. Even coming up, many of us we don't know about politics. We don't care. But in order to understand what is going on in the world, I have to follow along a little bit. And so this brother right here, he says something that I know that they are angry with. And sure, people will say something like, well, what about Chicago or something like that? The Kens and Karens of America, they're going to try to flip it, and they're going to try to change the narrative and deflect, you know what I mean? But he's saying no one said anything when 30,000 Ukrainians came, and you want me to deport all of these El Salvadorians? Like, get real. Like, nigga, please. Like, y'all are not consistent across the board. And I say this all the time. Like, they're talking about immigration and immigrants, and ICE is going hard right now. They literally run into you. They're not just going to Mexicans, right? They raiding African spots too. But they go into schools. There was a school that denied ICE agents to come into their school. They went to a school to get kids. And I believe that was just a way to get the parents. Say, okay, we're going to get the kids. But when you say the word immigrant, you think about Mexicans, right? That's what the United States pushes. They pushes go back to Mexico. But you got immigrants from Canada that's not supposed to be here. You got Armenian immigrants in California that's not supposed to be here. You got you got Chinese, Japanese immigrants right here in California that's not supposed to be here. You got who else? What's another one? Of course, you got Africans that's not supposed to be here. You got all types of immigrants that's not supposed to be here. But the United States government only focuses on Mexicans, El Salvadorians, people from South and Central America. And you should ask yourself why. Why is why is the microscope put on them, and why it's always published in the media like that's the problem? When you have all of these other groups, Ukrainians, those are basically like, you wouldn't be able to tell a Ukrainian from a white American. Let me keep it 1,000. Let me keep it a million with you. You can't tell a Ukrainian from a white American, the average person. They didn't say nothing about them. Matter of fact, when people from Afghanistan, they here too. But when the Ukrainians came, bruh, they put them up in Airbnbs. They put them up in gated communities. They living good, but you didn't hear nobody saying anything about that. You didn't hear like white people online complaining. You don't hear the government complaining or nothing like that. You think these people is working? You think these people are doing the jobs? You think they picking fruit in the field? You think they picking fruit in the field? Do you think they're doing roofing and construction? Man, shout out to this mayor, man, because he made a good point. He made a great point. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that there's always a double standard when we're dealing with America. America is always making a double standard. ICE just took a plane to Mexico, and Mexico didn't allow them to land. The plane, for all of those resources, it cost taxpayers $850,000 for the plane just to return back here to America, because Mexico said no. They had some plane land in Brazil, right? A plane did land in Brazil, but Mexico was like, nah. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part is that because of Donald Trump's tariffs, his on import export, China used to be the major importer, but now it's Mexico. Now Mexico is the number one, which is crazy that the people that's supposed to be your allies, that you making it hard for them, and they're supposed to be your allies. You done made it hard for China, but now you're making it hard for the people who are your number one import export right now, because shit gonna get done. Just like in China, they had those sweatshops. Well, you ain't seen nothing unless you done seen a group of Mexicans building a house. Nigga, you ain't seen nothing. I was simply amazed at the efficiency and the productivity of brothers literally on the roof like a conveyor moving. What's those things? What is it that's on the roof? Stucco? What they put on there? I don't know what the name of it is, but I literally looking at them like, damn, this is amazing how fast they're moving and how efficient. And I'm like, I try to think about seeing somebody else work like that. And I just can't even think of anybody work like that. I don't work with black people on the job. I done seen white people who, in my experience, my personal experience, the laziest people are white folks in the workplace, especially when you're doing physical labor. That's my experience. And I'm not saying that because of any other thing. It's just my experience. Secondly, it'd be like if it was out of the three, out of black, brown, and white, it'd be white people down here, then black people, then Mexicans. Because I've worked with Mexicans, and I was in shape, and athletic, and it was kind of hard to keep up to something that seemed like it came to them natural. And I say that to say, like, man, America is going to feel the pain and feel the brunt once people are not going to work, and quote unquote illegals are not at work. Americans are going to feel that brunt. And the question should rise up is like, prices going to rise? Is having lettuce going to be considered a delicacy? Because no one wants to do it. And sure, no one wants to do it for little or nothing. People want to get paid for it. So who's going to work the job? And because of that demand, that need, is the price going to go up? And then it's going to go to the supermarkets. That's the consumers are going to get hit with it. I don't know, man. I'm going all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place on this subject. I had no notes for this one. But let me see. Let me go to the comments and see what y'all said. Bulls fan said, let me see. What you say? It says Chester D. Molester could be showing up as, oh, for real. Chester the Molester could be showing up as ICE at these schools. I don't agree with kids snatching from the school. Like, imagine it's a terrible feeling where your child is not where they're supposed to be. Like the school bus comes and your kid didn't get off the bus. That is like your chest goes into your stomach. You know what I mean? Imagine that feeling of your child not getting off the bus. Don't forget, y'all can't forget that during the last time ICE was doing that, I don't know if it was the last time. I think it was with the immigration detention centers that the United States government lost like 1,200 kids. They came up missing. So what are we talking about here? Where are these kids at? Let me see. She said those Afghans definitely ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing shot. The dirty aren't doing nothing. Black Rain said the Japanese work like that, like a conveyor belt. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. Shingles. Out on what their rooftop? Okay, yeah. Them grandmas will work out. A grown man in his prime. They got the roofing game on lock. The concrete game, all of that. Like they really be putting in work. They really put in work. They really put in work. So, like, shout out to him because he like, man, how do I look, getting at the indigenous people? This is their land. And it's funny because it's like they're called illegal. How are you illegal on stolen land? They call Mexicans and Indians, because when it comes to them, when it comes to Kens and Karens, they don't care, because what I heard is that ICE is not only they're grabbing anybody that look the part. So like a person that their heritage is Native American Indian, they could be considered Mexican. And then you got people that are Hispanic that are as black as night. So this could affect black people too, like people with darker skin have a darker complexion. And so they don't care who they're grabbing. They just grabbing people indiscriminately. They grabbing people that are actually legal. They're just grabbing them. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is like, how can you call a people illegal when you stole this land? When you raped, robbed, and murdered the people? See, the logic of them goes back to that story in the beginning with Elon Musk is, we're not going to feel guilty for what our forefathers did anymore. You should have pride in being a German, or you should have pride in being American or a descendant of pilgrims. You should have pride in, your people conquered and destroyed these people. This is your land. You have you rightfully, are American. The dictionary, what is it? The dictionary 1828, the definition of American is the original copper colored people. That's the definition for what an American is from the dictionary from 1828. Today, the American is a Ken and a Karen. Right. I don't understand why people don't see that. Bulls fan said, I met an Apache at a flea market. Everybody was talking to him in Spanish. I knew he wasn't Mexican, but everyone else thought he was. That's Deandra said, oh, that should be a shirt. What did I just say? I'm sorry. Black Rain said, Khan, the last Mohican, they stole that too. Right. Let me drop that. So the thing is like, it's crazy. And I'm doing studies right now where I'm gonna go into that. They believe they're the last Mohican. They're the last Cherokee. They are the last Egyptian. They are the last samurai. They are the last Hebrew. They're everything. You know what I mean? It's wild that they have moved in a way throughout history where they come, they integrate with a people, then eventually they move a people out of that land, and then eventually after that, they take that identity and they claim to be that. Hence, that's why you have purebred Vikings from the Caucasus Mountains claiming that they are Cherokee and Chickasaw and they're Native Indian. And you're like, what? Like, how are you? You got blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, how are you in any formal way indigenous? You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets like that. Before you know it, they'll be saying that, they are, y'all see that meme where it'd be like, in about 100 years, they'll be saying Tupac was white. You have to believe that because that's what happened throughout history. Like literally, like people were removed and neutralized and then just basically decimated, and now these people claim that identity and say, listen, I'm samurai, buddy. I'm a samurai. You know, you made up a good point, Kev. Also Christ. They then took over because they said they're the Hebrews. They can say, well, because we're Hebrews, we're the Israelites, Jesus Christ was white. God is white. The angels are white. You know what I'm saying? Like they have done that. You know, that's what they done. That's just the history. I'm not, listen, it don't even have to, you notice I'm not even saying nothing about color. Y'all know who I'm talking about, but usually what people will say is like, oh, it's because of the color of our skin. Nah, it's because of history. It's because of the truth. I'm going off of history. That's it. That's all. History tells a story. You know what I mean? Let me look at this. He said they stole that too. Deandra said the original American debt. Yes. Yeah, turn everything upside down. What I would say, y'all, is this. How Sister Barathanael said, she said everything is turned upside down. Like, you have to look at this world that you was born into. You have to look at this world as literally the planet of the apes. You have to look at the world as where, you know, how and I'm basing this off of the old Planet of the Apes, not the newer ones, but it was one of them where the guy comes back, he makes it back to Earth. I think it's Charleston Heston. He makes it back to Earth, and he's like in the U.S. Capitol, and he looks up, and where the Lincoln Monument is at, well, it's an ape, and then he's walking up the monument, and the police cars roll up, and apes hop out in uniforms, like, get on your knees. And he's like, what the hell has happened? Like the world is upside down. That's literally what we were born into. We were born into a world where another people have set themselves up to look like they were great and they were on top, when they just did that very recently around the 17th century, where they started to repaint images. And many of the, because the world was black, many of the things from the old world still exist today in the new world. So you will be confused when you go to like Europe and you see the Russian icons and you see all of the images of God and Christ and angels being black. But you're confused because your whole life you grew up seeing angels as white and God as white, and you start to wonder, and you see the movies are always Egyptians are white, but when you look at the stone statues, the Egyptians are black. And so there's a level of confusion of who was first and that type of deal. But I'm gonna go over a video next week about Adam, about what the first man looked like, and we'll get into that. But that's the deal. Like, you living in a world where it's literally like the Planet of the Apes. Like, damn, like my people, they were, well, everybody was black at one time. But the history that I'm seeing, this world that I was born into, it don't look like it. It looked like white people were that. They were the Greeks, they were the Romans. And that's just not the truth. And so I'm doing some studies, and, you know, I'll be bringing some things out when we go into a little bit of more history. Not that it's, and let me just say, I won't be saying that, you know, Greeks were black at first and these other nations were black at first to say that Black Americans were them. I'm just saying it because it's the truth. So a lot of times what you hear is Europeans will think that black people are claiming those heritages because we say, well, everybody was black at one time, because they really just look at us all as one people. They don't differentiate. But many of y'all, if y'all been following me long enough, Black Authentic Truth, or if you're in the truth, you know that everybody black is not the same, with different cultures, ethnicities, and all of that. I'm just talking right now. I'm just rambling, y'all. I got 2 more stories and then I'm up out of here. I got one more story and then I got the Black Authentic Truth story. I've been going for how long? An hour and 30 minutes. I don't want to hold y'all up. Let me read some comments. Black Rain said, I think Judah's supposed to be apes to them. I have seen serpents upon hosts and princes walking on serpents upon the earth. What's funny about that precept, matter of fact, I might bring that precept out. They actually been there in New York, the Natural History Museum. In the front of the museum, they have Theodore Roosevelt on a horse with a native Indian on the side of him and a black man on another side of him on the ground, which is it speaks directly to that precept. Brother said, I think Europeans that have a classical education know the truth about us. Yes. And many of the Europeans that are college educated with that classical education, they do say that. They do admit that the Greeks, they do admit it. They do admit that, there was color back then. And how they admit it, they basically say that, racism didn't exist back then. I believe in the Iliad, is it Homer? In the Iliad, he speaks to whiteness being alien to them, like whiteness being alien. That's like the idea of whiteness was alien. People will find out, and I'll bring that out, that the ancient Greeks, the original Greeks, they were a Japhetic people. They were a people of color, of bronze color eyes, and eventually you had what you have during the Greeks. You had through the people named the Sabines that intermarried with the Greeks. Also, the Latins, the original Latins, are said to be Edomites that intermingled with the original people of the Greek Isles and eventually pushed them out to areas like the Solomon Islands and what is those people? Polynesia. So we'll definitely go into that. You know what I mean? But I say that to say that the Greeks were originally black, but I'm not saying that Black Americans were the Greeks for the Eurocentrist people. Okay. So let's get this one. This is something that's very familiar with us. We know this. This is not nothing new. Okay.
She
started from the top.
I had a woman dying from COVID confess something really heart-wrenching to me. She told me that when she was a teenager, she told her mother that one of the local black boys had touched her behind the grocery store. And in 1936 Louisiana, this was a very big deal. Not only was this boy lynched, but he was beaten and his genitals were cut off. And then the family home was burned to the ground. And she watched it all happen. You want to know why? Because she saw that his sisters had prettier dresses than she did, and she just didn't like it. So she lied. And then it clicked. This same woman had been hallucinating for the past couple of days, saying that there was a black boy in her room watching her, would not stop staring at her, and she was scared shitless. She asked if she could be forgiven. I told her the only person who could forgive her was the boy she killed. Not sorry.
Yeah, so this is not nothing new. Like I said, not nothing new. Excuse me. Let me go back a little bit. This is not nothing new. A deathbed confession. We know this is just a part of Black existence. Hearing deathbed confessions. This is a deathbed confession that I talk about a lot in my classes on Wednesday night. It's from a slave narrative where the master, he basically caught the slave praying. The slave was praying for the Lord for the Lord to give the master mercy so that he can get free from slavery. Well, that angered the slave master so much that He killed the slave. On his deathbed, he admitted what he had done. And I said, it seems funny. It's like a trend that when they're about to go to, you know, what they think is judgment, they want to spill the beans and admit all the evil things that they have done, particularly to Black people. We know that this happened with Emmett Till, Willie Francis, George Stinney. Hell, Black Wall Street was burnt down because a Black man allegedly bumped into a white woman in an elevator. I mean, this has been the reason and the foundation of many massacres of, you know, white women just plain lying and using Black people, Black men as a way to get out of something they're doing, whether they're actually being promiscuous, whether they come in late, you know, and say, oh, some Black man, and then their father get all his friends and go find the first brother they see and lynch him. This is as American Pie, a deathbed confession. And she said that because the young boy, the brother, his sister's dresses were prettier than hers. Man, America got a rap sheet, man, that I can't wait for some judgment to come. I can't, yo. Like, that's wild. That's crazy. Like the things that have happened to our people, you can't even compare them to other people because it's like it would never happen. Oh, you know, oh, that white man, he did this to me. It never happened. It just blows my mind, man. It blows my mind that like the stuff that our people had to endure. And I'm not blaming. Listen, I don't blame people for being ignorant, my people, but you brothers, man, you brothers that choose not to love your sisters, man. Oh, man. Did y'all ever have a history lesson? Did y'all ever, y'all ain't, especially if you're a brother that's from the South. I'm from California, and I would never, but you brothers, like, come on, man. What y'all think? Let me see. The brother said, deathbed confession ain't going to get them out of judgment. Man, for real. For real. This is the deathbed salvation, last minute confession. For real. Like, I'm trying to, when I pass over, I'm going to go to glory, and I want to be clean, and I want to be a good Christian. Thinking that's going to make a difference with their judgment. Right. Rosewood. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Rosewood. Seneca Village, aka Central Park. Thank you, brother. The Most High knows that hard vengeance is his, right? And I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand how, it was okay to do something like that to our people. Like, it's so many of those. You got to think, it's probably a lot of those things that happen to us that we'll never know about until judgment time. We'll never know because they're kept in secret. A lot of people have taken these things with them to their graves, so they'll never say. But to be a child and to be lynched because some white girl just lied on you, that is diabolical. That is draconian. That is, I don't even know if there's a word for it, what happened to our people, and it is what it is, man. I just know that from the standpoint of our children and our sons, you should teach them the histories of the past. You should show them what happened to their brothers, their ancestors. You should show them the past history and the present and the recent past. Show them celebrities. Hell, show them all of the celebrities. Show them Tiger Woods. Show them O.J. Simpson. Show them all of them that, It was a bad deal. It didn't end well. It just don't end well. And to instill in your young black men to love their people, to care about their people, you have to have a foundation of history, though. You got to show them like this is. You got to be raw with your kids and say, this is the history. So this is what you need to watch out for. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They already pushing critical race theory. They don't want your kids to know the atrocities of the past. In order for you to know why your people are the way they are, you have to know what they've been through. So that's what you should lay out the foundation for your young boys to understand. You know what I mean? The minute a nigga gets some money, you know, he forget about a woman, his women, you know? And when I say money, I'm not talking about regular money. I'm talking about NBA contracts, NFL contracts. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, man, it's unfortunate that our people are blind to these things. And if you think that there's not going to be a recompense for these type of things, there is. And can't no deathbed confession stop that. None. You know, let me go to the comments, man. I was telling my mom that never in my life I wanted to date a white man. Leave them people to be with their people. Yeah. You know, it's funny, Renee Gaines, and you know, people like black people are so brainwashed. Let me just tell y'all on Black Authentic Truth. I'm in the truth. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. So a lot of the things that I say, they may seem super extreme and radical because I am radical. I just want y'all to know that I am radical, but not to the point where that I would advocate for violence, that I would say to harm anyone. I'm radical in a way that I'm willing to say the things that you are not willing to say, that you know deep in your heart is the truth. Many of our people, they are programmed to think a certain kind of way. They are scared straight to think a certain kind of way. Many black people don't want to offend Kens and Karens. They are programmed to think a type of way. Many black people are programmed in Christianity. So your thought process, you think a different type of way than me. The difference between me and you is that you are a house Negro and I'm a field nigga. That's the difference. We're still brothers and sisters. I still love you. We have different ideologies. You believe in interracial dating. I don't. You believe that you know Donald Trump is the savior of your world. I don't. I still love you though. If I seen the police officer with his goddamn knee on your neck, you would hope that I'm there and not some other black person, because I'm gonna save your goddamn life. So yeah, I'm radical. Some things I say is radical. Some things that I say may seem like it's not right, but trust and believe that I'm coming from a standpoint of truth. I'm coming from a standpoint of I love black people wholeheartedly, and then I can deal with other people. But it will be my people first, and then I'll deal with my people. I just wanted to say that. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be lucky. I will be the answer to your prayers if police is itching to blow your head off on a basic traffic stop. I'll be the voice that will say, leave him alone. He's not doing anything. What did he do? Do you got to pull your gun out on him? He's not even resisting. I will be the voice. Hell, I might get locked up with you. So don't look at me like, oh, this nigga on some other. Yeah, I am radical, but trust and believe, no matter what we believe, I'm still your brother. You know what I mean? So let me get back to what I was gonna say. I think I said what I needed to say. I was thinking that I need to say, I think I said what I need to say. I will be going back into, I was responding to a sister's comment, but I will be going back into, I'm gonna go back into, what is it? The Black Authentic Truth story. You know what I mean? This has been a different type of live only because that story in the beginning with the sister, Naziah, that really, it rubbed me a different type of way, you know, and me just even saying her name, I can feel it. You know, you can feel that lump in your throat. It's because when you have children, you have daughters, and you care for your people, it's just that just sometimes it just hits you that way. It is nothing wrong with it. You know, we men, we grown people, we grown folk. If you don't have the ability to feel compassion for your people, but you claiming that you love your people, then what are we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so um and I want, like I said before, with this Black Authentic True story, I wanted something more on the side of positive, but I never covered the story. It's the truth. And so we're going to get it. You know, this is the story of Reese Taylor. And let me just pull it up. Excuse me. Let me remove this cave woman real quick. Excuse me. Now, this is the story of Reese Taylor. This is the story, the Black Authentic Truth story. And let me, what I need to get. I'm gonna be reading the story, okay? So just give me a second. Let me get this set up. Maybe you've heard of Reese Taylor, maybe you haven't. Okay, y'all just bear with me. Okay. If you have heard of Reese Taylor, put a 1 in the chat. If you haven't, it's all good. It's all good. And I think this all kind of ties in with what happened to Naziah. It just the way Black women are have been viewed since slavery times, and you know, us dealing with racism, and not just on us, but as we know with the story with Naziah, not just with white folks, but as we know with the story with Naziah, with what black folks do to other black folks. Yes, Black Rain. Yes, Renee. Renee gave me a 1. Black Rain. Yes, definitely. But it needs to be told, you know, it needs to be told so that, you know, we don't forget. We don't need to forget. We should not forget. You know, this is not critical race theory. We're not forgetting. I'm sorry. And I'll read a little bit. It was nearly midnight on September 3rd, 1944, when Miss Reese Taylor left the Rock Hill Holiness Church in Abbeville, Alabama, to walk home with Fanny Daniel, who was 60 years old, and Daniel's son, Wes. He was 18 years old. As the trio walked along the peanut plantations that line Abbeville Headway Highway, they noticed an old green Chevrolet passed them at least 3 times. Young white men stared out its windows before the car rolled to a stop in ahead of them. 7 white men exited the car with guns and knives. Herbert Lovett, a 24-year-old private in the U.S. Army, told Taylor and Daniels to stop. When they ignored him, Lovett raised his shotgun. As the group of white men closed in, Lovett said, "We're looking for this girl right here. She's the one that cut the white boy, Tommy Clarkson, in Clopton this evening." Lovett added that the sheriff, George H. Gramble, had sent them to find the alleged assailant. Taylor attempted to run, but Lovett cocked his gun and pointed it at her head, stating, I'll kill you if you run. Lovett then walked Taylor back to the car and shoved her in. All 7 men crowded into the car and drove away. A few miles up the road, the car turned off the main highway until a tractor path in the woods, coming to a stop in a grove of pecan trees. Pointing his shotgun at her, Lovett demanded that Taylor take her clothes off. She begged to go home to her husband and family. Lovett was the first of 6 men who sexually assaulted Taylor that night. After they were finished, they blindfolded her and dropped her off on the highway. After getting herself together, she began the long walk home. As she approached the Tree Points intersection, a vehicle approached her. Inside was her father, Benny Corbett, and Will Cook, the former chief of police. They drove her to Cook's store, where Fannie and Wes Daniel and her husband, Willie Guy Taylor, were waiting for her. Wes Daniel reported Taylor's kidnapping and identified the car as belonging to Hugo Wilson. Within 30 minutes of her telling Cook what happened, Cook had Wilson, his father, and the old green sedan in his store. Wilson gave up the names of his accomplices: Dillard York, Billy Howerton, Hubert Lovett, Luther Lee, Joe Culpepper, and Robert Gramble. Wilson argued that they did not force Taylor to have sex, but that they paid her. This was a common practice in the South for white Southerners, even if they were racist ones, to visit Black sex workers. Sheriff Gramble sent Wilson home with a $250 bond and instructions to have his parents sign in return at their leisure. The other men were not brought in or even arrested. If Sheriff Gramble had hoped it was over that night, he was mistaken. In the days that followed, the Black community reported the incident to the NAACP in Montgomery. They responded by sending their best investigator and anti-rape activist, Rosa Parks. Though she had only been with Montgomery NAACP for a year, Parks was already a seasoned activist. She had been documenting such crimes against Black women and working to ensure that these women had their day in court. Sexual assault was a personal issue for Parks, as a white neighbor attempted to assault her in 1931. Parks took the story back with her to Montgomery and began organizing with support from local activists. She formed the Alabama Committee for Equal Justice for Miss Reese Taylor. Its aim was to assist Black women in reclaiming their bodies against sexual violence and interracial sexual assaults. I can't use that word, but y'all know what I'm saying, the R word. By the following spring, it was the strongest campaign for equal justice to be seen in a decade. On October 3rd and 4th in 1944, the all-white, all-male jury held in Henry County Grand Court took up Taylor's case. Though no one expected equal justice, they hoped for an honest hearing. It was only there that Taylor found out none of the assailants had been arrested. This meant that the only witnesses for Taylor were her Black friends and family. Sheriff Gramble never ordered a police lineup, so Taylor could not identify her attackers. Deliberation lasted only 5 minutes and the case was dismissed. The following day, Gramble issued appearance warrants for the men the day after the case. Taylor and her family faced violent intimidation. The day after it was reported, her home was firebombed as the family slept. The next day, Taylor moved in with her father and siblings, Corbett, Reese's father. He took guard every night in a tree with a gun until daybreak. Black activists in Alabama and throughout the South rallied behind Taylor and demanded punishment for her assailants. As a result, Governor Sparks launched an investigation, and Sheriff Gramble was questioned about his failure to ensure justice on the behalf of Taylor. He falsely claimed he started an independent investigation after the attack and that he arrested all the men involved after the assault. To discredit and intimidate Taylor, Gramble took J.V. Kitchens and N.W. Kimborough, Sparks' private investigators, aside and claimed that Taylor had a reputation around town. Gramble claimed she had been treated for venereal diseases and was arrested several times upon written requests from the county health officer. Cook backed up the sheriff's story. After Assistant Attorney General John O. Harris came to Abbeville, Gramble changed his story, claiming that her reputation is as good as any Negroes in that community. Kitchens and Kimbrough interviewed the assailants, and almost all of them said that she was a prostitute and a willing participant. Wilson denied being present and claimed to know nothing about it. Lovett claimed he didn't know why his friends would bring him into something like that and that he was innocent. Culpepper corroborated Taylor's testimony in detail. Aided by the assistant's statement, Culpepper's admission and affidavits, and Gramble's recantations and lies, Governor Sparks ordered a second grand jury hearing. The case was heard by an all-white, all-male jury on February 14th, 1945. They refused to issue an indictment. Despite the outcome, Taylor's case was a major step towards the formation of the civil rights movement. The Committee for Equal Justice for Recy Taylor expanded its approach and signaled its intent to wage war on the ritual sexual assaults of everyday Black women. The committee's ability to mobilize local people and rally national attention laid a foundation for the formal civil rights movement. Leaders of the committee, like Rosa Parks and E.D. Dixon, would later form the Montgomery Improvement Association, which was responsible for the 1955 bus boycotts. Public transportation became the target of resistance because it was easier and safer for Black women to stop riding buses than was to bring their attackers to justice. Miss Taylor lived with her family in Abbeville for 2 decades after the brutal assault, which left her unable to have more children. At some point, she separated from her husband, who passed away early in the 1960s. In 1965, she moved to Florida, where she found work picking oranges. She returned to Abbeville after spending many years in Winter Haven, Florida, due to her failing health. Taylor received apologies from the mayor of Abbeville and from the county and state government in 2011. This is the story of Recy Taylor. Okay. And there's a little more. All right. This is her only child. Remember, she could not have children after this incident. This is a heinous, monstrous thing that was done to this sister. These are the stories, no matter how ugly and how wild they are, that they need to be told of the experience of Black people. Let me see. I think I may have another one. This is her in her older age. What was not in that story is that the white man will come into her home and they're offering the husband $600 to not talk about it anymore. It just shows you how evil these people were. So they were offering him, I can't really see it and read it, but you see the title, 600 to SA your wife. Alabama whites make offer to Reese Taylor's husband. They made an offer to him to just let it go. And let me, matter of fact, let me read the top. It says, Montgomery, Alabama, nig with the hard ER. Ain't 600 enough for graping your wife? Question mark. That's all you need to know. The audacity and the empowerment of white supremacy and how they felt at the time. Like, we're gonna just offer this Negro some money so he can shut up. That's the position our forefathers were in. These are our forefathers, you know what I'm saying? These is our these is our people. What happens to us, what happened to them, we need to know the history, because the history will allow you to see what you don't see, which is what is still going on. What is the attitudes then are the attitudes now? You know, that's what you'll see. Brother said, these white people claim black people are 3/5 of humans. They are not humans at all, because they are Neanderthals. The Neanderthals are definitely not humans. They are the genes they carry. I agree with that, because that's actually facts. That's actually facts that black people don't have Neanderthal DNA. And I don't really get into the DNA thing. I'm more about a history thing and about from a biblical perspective in history. And so, but it's the truth what James said. It's the truth that you a lot of times black people, you're looking at a people to be civilized with you. We're looking at a people to be civilized. We're in effect hoping for people that are uncivilized to be civilized with us, and people that don't believe in human rights to grant us human rights. And it's just playing out. It's never going to happen. You will always continually have these issues. I just don't, and I like to not say white people, because I want to show people it's not about the color of your skin. Like white people could be green, they could be yellow, like my hoodie, they could be purple. It doesn't matter the color. It's more about your actions. And that goes back to how people push that Martin Luther King, judging a person on the content of their character. Well, I've seen the character for so long. I've seen the character in the movie. The character in the movie says this. The character in the movie says, act this way, be upstanding, while he does something that's totally opposite. The character says, if you do a crime, you do the time. While when the character or his family members does the crime, they usually don't do the time, or they do a part of the time. It's always a double standard. It's always the character. He puts you in slavery. Then he releases you, and then down the line today he says, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm bad? Like, we freed you from slavery. What I'm supposed to give you a cookie? What am I supposed to give you a award letter for being a person that put me in a position, then being the person that took me out? Like, you playing the superhero and the villain? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what am I supposed to be like? Thank you so much. That's true. Like, what? Like, get out of here. You know what I mean? So you have to really see between the lines, man. You got to see between the lines, man. You have to understand that, like, we living in a world where these people think that I'll give you a prime example. They think that things are supposed to be perfect. And if they're not, the problem falls on the black and brown peoples of society. Like they're the scapegoat, we're the scapegoat, they're the problem. Immigrants. And so they're like, get these immigrants out of here. It's going to fix the economy. Things are going to be right. America has not been right since it was founded. Like you can go back to Rome and Greece. Like even they didn't get along. Like these people don't get along within themselves. And us as black and brown people, we're looking to them to give us some type of levity, give us some type of equality with them. When they're infighting with each other, Democrats and Republicans is Crips and Bloods. Like, but you as black people that believe that that is the answer for our problems, you're really lost. You're lost as hell because these people are fighting one another. They are infighting one another. They've been infighting one another since the inception of this country. You know what I'm saying? You think that they was infighting one another because this government is basically a template of Roman Republic. They've been fighting. The Romans was fighting one another. The Greeks was fighting one another. They couldn't get along. But they're so civilized. They're so educated. They speak so proper English, and the higher echelons of public service and all of this crap. When they're fighting each other like school children. You know what I'm saying? And you, as a black and brown person, is looking at them like, thank you, Donald Trump is back. Things are going to get right. Obama is here. Things are going to get right. Like, no, it's not going to get like they think that the real physical world is supposed to be like a movie when everything is perfect. Everything is in its place. Now, that's not real life. That's not even real history. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, y'all. Man, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. What do y'all think? Am I making any sense? Am I making any sense? One thing is for sure, man. If you go out there and you work hard and you do what you got to do, you're going to be successful. And when I say successful, you're going to prosper. Like if I get up every morning and I go to work and I save my money and I constantly set goals for myself, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be okay. And that's with even a belief system. Let's just say I'm an atheist. And I don't believe in no God. I believe God is in me, or I believe God is in the universe. If I just go put forth an effort, I'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? That's even like that's just not in life, but like in sports. And let's say I want to learn Spanish. If I want to learn Spanish, every day I just practice and practice to work on my Spanish. Eventually, I'm do good. And I'm saying this for black people. Eventually, if we came together, unified as a people under a common bond and understanding, like we wouldn't have to be tossed to and fro between Democrat, Republic, or whatever the case may be, because we'll be standing on our own 10 toes, and we'll be the support that we have will come from us. Well, everybody wants to emulate and everybody uses us for entertainment. Hell, we could be the entertainment hub of the world. And we can make that money and that all of that circle right with black people, right with our people. You know what I'm saying? We won't need to depend like, oh, Trump is in office. Now things are going to get better for this one is in office. It's never going to be like that in America. America is built off the blood and sweat and tears of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Like you can't build, that's in anything you do. Like just take you as in your personal life. If you have dishonest gain, if you, let's just say, I don't know, you heard about a drug deal. You go rob the people that's making the deal. In the process of it, you unalive everyone, but you have all of this money now. You take this money And then you go and you build, you start a business. You start a legitimate business that's helping people, that's doing good in the community, right? Helping people. You think that business is going to go forever with no complications and no problems, and that person is not going to reap what they sowed? If you think that's how things work, then you need to be re-educated. The point I'm bringing out is that that's how America was created. Yes, I know people say it's the greatest country. I understand they say, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else. You have to go through these different things in these countries. You don't want to be in a third world country. I understand all of that. But what the point I'm making is that it was built off of blood. It was built off of injustice, off of genocide, off of terrorism. It will not go forever. It will never be perfect. It is bound to fall at any moment. And that's what you got to get in your head. I got it down packed. I already know what's going on. It don't make me stop. It don't make me stop going to work in the morning. It don't make me stop, making goals for myself. But it makes me understand that, listen, why should I have any concern about who's at the top, what president is running, what party is in control? I shouldn't, because when it's time for those rockets to blow and those missiles to fire, it's going to happen anyway. Anyway, man, it's been beautiful rocking with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. James Ravenel says, I was born in 1962 in South Carolina, and I was 6 years old when Martin Luther King was murdered. These people have lynched a few thousand Black people, Americans, while I was still alive. Damn. That's crazy. Thank you for that, James. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that perspective. I love hearing stuff like that from people before me. I respect my elders, and I love hearing their take when it's a real take. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that, and thank you for that. And just to add into what you said is, what are we? So we're talking about 60 years, 60 something years since Martin Luther King, and Black people are still asking to be judged by the content of their character, man. Like, that's crazy. Like, you see that brother that got up at the inauguration in front of Trump and singing, and he did a sermon, and he added some Martin Luther King's speech, I Have a Dream speech, in that sermon. And as he's saying it, you got all of these, these white politicians standing, and Donald Trump standing behind him. One of them was looking like, nigga, please, what are you talking about? Like, hurry up and get done with that. But it's so crazy how we are locked in. We are locked into that, ideology when 56, well, what Kev said, 57 years ain't even showed us nothing. We ain't learned nothing in 57 years. We ain't learned a damn thing in 57 years. You're still asking for equal justice. You're still asking to be treated like a human being. And you're still screaming this, playing Martin Luther King, and they forget to play the soundbite where Martin Luther King was talking about the dream has become a nightmare. They won't never play that one. We got to play that on our own. But they'll play the I Have a Dream speech. They won't play the one where he was like, the dream has become a nightmare. They won't play the one where he talked about how white folks got an economic base. But Black folks was free from slavery to the winds of poverty. They won't talk about that. They won't replay that one, because they want us to stay in that mindset of free at last, little Black boys and little white girls hold hands, like that old Negro spiritual. They want you to stay, because that really got a lot of people looking like how can I say, it got a lot of people programmed to think like that's how we should be. That's how we should be. I mean, They did a number on us. You know, TV programming, all that. They did a number on our people. But the reality just don't show that. 57 years later, we still asking to be judged by the content of our character. And the Kens and Karens of America could give a damn about the content of your character. All they see is that you black when you walking up. All they see is that you is a black person. They could care less about what you do in your community, and you're a good person, and you want to have a job, and you want to live, and you want to be a productive member of society. They don't care about that. They don't care about it. They're indifferent to you. There's a famous clip with Dr. Joyce DeGruy. She wrote the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. You know, she's worldwide famous. It's a sister. I can play the clip. I'll play the clip next week. But she said, you know, they live a life where they don't even have to even see you. They don't even have to come in contact with you. But you live a life as a black and brown person where you have to come in contact with them on a daily basis in order to survive. In order to live, you have to come in contact with white folks in America as a black. If you really want to live, if you really want to get the bag, you have to. Well, they live a life where many of them, they don't even have to come in contact with you. They don't even know how you live, what you're going through, nothing like that. They see you when they scrolling. They see what you are like this. And that's what they think of you, what they see on social media. They don't have to come in contact with you. They can live a life clear of even being around you in the same neighborhood as you. The closest you'll get to them is probably in the mall, probably driving by and you in your car and they in their car. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to live a life to even know you, where you have to live a life where you have to know them. You have to be in close contact and proximity in order for you to make your livelihood and for you to survive and live and you know, take care of your family. I know I talked a lot. I went 2 and 20 minutes, man, 2 hours and 20 minutes. This was a good live. I appreciate everybody for being in here, man. Let me give y'all some shout outs because y'all been rocking with me for this whole time. Appreciate all of y'all. Okay. Let me get it. Damn, it's a lot of, I guess because I went so long, it's a lot of comments, bro. I'm just okay. If I don't say your name, I apologize in advance. Okay. I'm gonna start off from the top from what I remember. We got Sister Barathanawa, we got Sister Renee Gaines, we got Black Rain 303, we got that Gamer Honesty, we got Sister Kalmaz Boff, we got that Bulls fan always rocking with me. We got Black Dazzle, we got Worthy up in Joshua up in here 12. We got Sister Deandra, we got Young Man Kev up in here always rocking with me. Can't forget the brother James that dropped some good jewels. Appreciate you. I appreciate your comments. Thank you for that. Let's see. We got Talaya up in here. Thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate all y'all comments, man. Y'all was really dropping them. And I definitely was reading them, even though I probably didn't put them up, but I definitely was reading them. All right. Sister Madina up in here. Thank you for rocking with me. Let's see. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep it short, but I just want to say that I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I'll be back. I'm gonna try to do lives more. You know, sometimes I just be too busy, but definitely on Sunday, I'm gonna do lives. So I appreciate brothers and sisters for being here. I'll see y'all next Sunday. And with that, y'all keep it black and authentic. All right.